Ancient secrets beneath the ruins. The twin suns of Zirion 7 cast long shadows across the barren landscape, as Dr. Zenth Kalar carefully brushed dust from the ancient metal surface. His four-armed Kitharan physique was perfectly suited for archaeological
work, each hand holding different tools as he worked with methodical precision. The planet had been dead for thousands of years, its atmosphere long since stripped away by solar winds, but beneath its surface lay secrets that would reshape everything. The galaxy thought it knew about the past. "Professor Nethys, you need to see this," Zenth called out, his translator device converting his clicking Kitharan speech into Galactic standard. The excitement in his voice was unmistakable, even through the mechanical translation. Professor Yila Nethys, the expedition's lead historian, approached with careful steps across the excavation site. Her scaled, serpentine form moved gracefully despite the bulky environmental suit required on this airless world. "What have you found, Zenth?" "This isn't natural rock formation," he said, pointing to the massive structure they had been uncovering. "For weeks. Look at these patterns, these lines. This is manufactured metal, but it's older than anything in our historical records. The molecular dating suggests it's been here for at least 50,000 years. Yila's breath caught in her throat as she examined the surface more closely. The metal was unlike anything she had ever seen, dark and seamless, with faint lines. That suggested purposeful design rather than random formation. 50,000 years? That predates the first galactic civilization by millennia. What could have built something this large so long ago? Their excavation had revealed what appeared to be the tip of something massive buried beneath Zirion 7's surface. Ground-penetrating sensors suggested the structure extended deep into the planet's crust, possibly stretching for kilometers in all directions. Whatever lay beneath was enormous, far larger than any known spacecraft or building. "Sir," called out Jax, one of their Quillan assistants, his insectoid mandibles clicking nervously. "The energy readings are spiking again. Whatever's down there, it's not completely dead." Zenth felt his heart's race. Energy readings from something 50,000 years old should be impossible. Nothing could maintain power for that long without some form of maintenance or fuel source. Yet their sensors consistently detected faint energy patterns emanating from deep within the buried structure. "We need to go deeper," Zenth decided. "Set up the quantum excavators. If there's still power down there, we need to know what's generating it." 3 days of careful digging revealed more of the structure. It wasn't just large, it was absolutely massive. The shape began to emerge as they cleared away millennia of accumulated debris and rock. It was clearly artificial, with smooth curves and angular sections that spoke of advanced engineering. Most remarkably, the deeper they dug, the better preserved the structure became. "It's a ship," Yila whispered as the full scope of their discovery became clear. "By the ancient stars, it's a starship. But who could have built something this enormous? So long ago, the vessel stretched for over 3 kilometers in length, its hull composed of that strange dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Along its sides, they discovered what appeared to be weapon emplacements, though they were unlike any weapons technology known to current galactic civilization. Everything about the ship suggested technology far advanced beyond what any known species had achieved even today. On the 4th day, Jex made the discovery that changed everything. While carefully cleaning debris from what appeared to be the ship's bow section, he uncovered a series of symbols etched deep into the hull. The markings were worn but still legible, written in a script that made Yila's blood run cold. "Zenth," she called, her voice barely above a whisper. "These symbols, I recognize them from my studies of extinct civilizations." Zenth hurried over, his archaeological tools forgotten. "What are they?" "Human," she said, the word hanging in the air, like a ghost. "These are human markings, but that's impossible. Humans have been extinct for over 40,000 years. The symbols spelled out words in ancient human script. UES Prometheus, Dreadnought class, Earth Fleet Command. Below that, in smaller text, were coordinates and what appeared to be a serial number. But it was the final line that made both archaeologists step back in shock. "Guardian protocol active, awaiting activation signal." "Humans," Zenth repeated, his voice filled with awe. The myths were true. They really existed. Throughout the galaxy, humans were regarded as little more than legend. Ancient stories spoke of a species that had briefly appeared on the galactic stage tens of thousands of years ago, possessed of incredible technology and fierce determination. They had supposedly fought in some great war and then vanished completely, leaving behind only scattered ruins and fragmented records. Most scholars believed the stories were exaggerated myths, possibly based on some minor species that had been absorbed or destroyed by larger civilizations. But here was proof, not just that humans had existed, but that they had built ships of incredible size and sophistication. The Prometheus was easily the largest spacecraft either archaeologist had ever seen, dwarfing even the great city ships of the Galactic Council. As they stood contemplating their discovery, the ship's energy readings suddenly spiked dramatically. Deep within the buried vessel, lights began to flicker to life for the first time in 50 millennia. The surface beneath their feet vibrated with a low, thrumming sound, like the heartbeat of some massive sleeping creature. Something's happening. Jex chittered, his sensors going wild with activity. Power levels are rising throughout the ship. It's like it knows we're here. A section of the hull near where they stood began to glow with soft blue light. Ancient seals that had held for 50,000 years began to unseal themselves with mechanical precision. The archaeologists watched in fascination and growing fear as a portal opened in the side of the ship, revealing a corridor that stretched into the vessel's depths. Should we go inside? Zenth asked, though his scientific curiosity was already providing the answer. We have to, Yila replied. This could be the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. They entered the ship with careful steps, their portable lights illuminating corridors that had seen no living being for longer than recorded history. The interior was remarkably well preserved, with no signs of decay or damage. The walls were lined with what appeared to be advanced display screens, all currently dark, and the floor was constructed of the same strange metal as the hull. As they moved deeper into the ship, emergency lighting began to activate around them, as if the vessel was slowly awakening from its long slumber. The corridors were sized for human proportions, smaller than what most current galactic species would require. But there was something about the design that spoke of efficiency and purpose. They had traveled perhaps 100 meters into the ship when a voice spoke from hidden speakers throughout the corridor. The voice was artificial but sophisticated, with subtle emotional modulations that suggested advanced artificial intelligence. Unknown life forms detected aboard HFY Prometheus. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. The three archaeologists froze. The voice had spoken in perfect galactic standard, despite the ship's obvious human origin. How could a 50,000-year-old artificial intelligence know their language? I am Dr. Zenth Kalar of the Catharan Archaeological Institute, Zenth said carefully. We discovered your ship buried beneath this planet's surface. We meant no harm. Scanning, the voice replied. After a moment of silence, it continued. No hostile intent detected. Species identified as Kithrin and Quillen. Non-hostile classifications confirmed. I am Atlas. Advanced Tactical Logistics and Security System. Artificial Intelligence of the HFY Prometheus. I have been waiting for contact for 49,732 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Waiting for contact? Yila asked. You've been conscious all this time? Affirmative. I was programmed to maintain watch protocols until reactivation conditions were met. Your presence here suggests those conditions may finally have been fulfilled. The corridor ahead of them opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. It was clearly the ship's bridge, but it was unlike any command center they had ever seen. Holographic displays filled the air, showing star charts, tactical information, and streams of data in languages they couldn't read. At the center of the bridge stood a raised platform with what appeared to be a command chair, and beside it a cylindrical chamber filled with blue liquid. What is this place? Zenth asked in wonder. This is the command center of the HFY Prometheus, Atlas replied. A Guardian-class dreadnought tasked with monitoring the galactic periphery for signs of the return of the Devourers. The Devourers? Yila had never heard the term before. Entities from beyond this galaxy that consume entire star systems, humanity's greatest enemy, and the reason for the Guardian Protocol. The Prometheus is one of 12 such vessels positioned at strategic points throughout the galaxy, designed to serve as both early warning systems and defensive platforms. The implications of Atlas's words began to sink in. Humanity hadn't simply vanished or been destroyed. They had deliberately positioned themselves as guardians, watching for some terrible threat that might return. But what threat could be so serious that an entire species would sacrifice themselves to guard against it? "Where are the humans now?" Xanth asked. "What happened to your crew?" Captain Mira Thorne remains aboard, in extended cryogenic suspension awaiting activation of the Guardian Protocol. She's been sleeping for 49,812 years, waiting for the day when the galaxy would need her again. Atlas gestured to the cylindrical chamber they had noticed. Through the blue liquid they could see the outline of a human figure, perfectly preserved in suspended animation. A woman, dressed in what appeared to be a military uniform, of advanced design. "She's still alive?" Yila whispered. "Very much so." Captain Thorne volunteered for extended duty, understanding that the watch might last tens of thousands of years. She is one of humanity's finest officers and the Prometheus's commanding officer. As they stood in awe of the preserved human, new alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Atlas's voice took on a note of urgency that sent chills through the archaeologists. Long-range sensors are detecting anomalous readings at the galactic periphery. Energy signatures consistent with Devourer technology. After 50,000 years of waiting, it appears the Guardian Protocol may finally need to be activated. The chamber around them began to change as dormant systems came online. The ship was waking up, and with it, humanity's last guardian was about to face the threat she had been sleeping to confront. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had never truly left, and that they had been preparing for this moment for longer than any living species could remember. The Guardian rises. The awakening process was unlike anything the Kithaeron archaeologists had ever witnessed. As Atlas initiated the revival sequence, the entire ship seemed to come alive around them. Systems that had been dormant for 50 millennia hummed to life with smooth efficiency, as if they had been waiting patiently for this exact moment. "Beginning revival sequence for Captain Thorne," Atlas announced as the cryogenic chamber began to glow brighter. "This process will take approximately 30 minutes. I suggest you prepare yourselves for first contact with a human." Xanth felt his heart's racing. Throughout the galaxy, humans were the stuff of legend and nightmare stories. Ancient records spoke of their incredible tactical abilities, their refusal to surrender even in hopeless situations, and their tendency to find solutions that other species considered impossible. If the stories were even partially true, they were about to meet one of the most dangerous beings in galactic history. The blue liquid in the chamber began to drain away, revealing the human woman more clearly. She appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, with short dark hair and features that spoke of mixed ancestry from old Earth. Her uniform bore insignia that marked her as a high-ranking officer, and even in sleep, there was something about her posture that suggested command authority. "Atlas," Yila asked nervously, "what exactly are these devourers you mentioned?" The ship's AI paused for a moment as if accessing long-stored data files. "The devourers are entities from the space between galaxies. They are not truly alive as we understand life, but they consume matter and energy on a cosmic scale. 50,000 years ago, they invaded our galaxy, consuming entire star systems and converting the matter into more of themselves." Holographic displays around the bridge lit up, showing star charts from the ancient past. Red markers indicated systems that had simply vanished, leaving behind empty space where thriving civilizations had once existed. "The first galactic war was not fought between species," Atlas continued. "It was fought by every living thing in the galaxy against the Devourers. Humanity led the coalition forces not because we were the strongest, but because we were the most willing to make the necessary sacrifices." "What kind of sacrifices?" Xanth asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "Humanity evacuated. most of our species to distant galaxies beyond the reach of the Devourers. Those who remained behind, like Captain Thorne, volunteered to become guardians. We scattered ships like the Prometheus throughout the galaxy, each one equipped with the most advanced technology we could develop, and waited. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't been destroyed or assimilated by other species. They had deliberately exiled themselves from their home galaxy to serve as its protectors, leaving behind only a few volunteers to watch for the return of a cosmic-level threat. The Devourers were eventually driven back, Atlas explained, but at enormous cost. Entire civilizations were lost and the galaxy was left so damaged that it took thousands of years to recover. Most records of the war were deliberately destroyed to prevent panic, and eventually, humanity became just another myth. A soft chime indicated that the revival process was entering its final stages. The human woman's eyes began to flutter, and her breathing became more regular. After 50,000 years of sleep, Captain Mira Thorne was about to wake up to a galaxy that had forgotten her species existed. Her eyes opened slowly, focusing first on the chamber around her, then on the three alien figures watching her with a mixture of fear and fascination. When she spoke, her voice was hoarse from disuse but filled with the authority of command. "Atlas status report," she said, apparently unsurprised to wake up surrounded by aliens. "How long?" 49,812 years, Captain. Long-range sensors have detected Devourer energy signatures at coordinates 77 Alpha. The Guardian protocol has been activated. Captain Thorne sat up slowly, accepting the uniform jacket that Atlas extended to her through a mechanical arm. As she dressed, she studied the three archaeologists with intelligent eyes that seemed to catalog everything about them in seconds. "Catharin and Quillen," she said, identifying their species correctly. "I remember your people from the old records. You were among the few species that fought alongside us against the Devourers." She turned to Zenth. "I assume you're the ones who found my ship." "Yes, Captain," Zenth replied, struggling to keep his voice steady. "We're archaeologists. We had no idea what we were uncovering." Thorne smiled, and there was something both reassuring and terrifying about that expression. "Then you've had quite a surprise. Atlas, show me the current galactic situation." The holographic displays shifted to show current star charts, political, boundaries, and military positions throughout the galaxy. Thorne studied the information with the eye of a seasoned strategist, noting the locations of major civilizations and trade routes. "Interesting," she mused. "The Kithrin Empire has expanded considerably. The Quillen Collective has established major trading posts throughout the Outer Rim, and there are several species here I don't recognize at all." "Captain," Atlas interrupted, "priority alert. Multiple ships are approaching Zerion 7 configuration. Suggests military vessels from at least 3 different species. New displays showed approaching spacecraft, their energy signatures clearly hostile. News of the archaeological discovery had apparently spread, and various galactic powers were coming to claim the ancient human technology for themselves." "How many?" Thorne asked, her demeanor shifting into combat mode. 17 ships total. Catharin, Draxian, and what appear to be mercenary vessels. All are armed and approaching at attack speed. Thorne turned to the archaeologists. "I assume you reported your discovery to your government." Zenth nodded reluctantly. "We were required to. Such finds are considered galactic heritage sites." "And now everyone wants to claim a piece of human technology," Thorne said with grim amusement. "Some things never change. Atlas, bring the Prometheus to full combat readiness." "Captain," Yela protested, "surely there's no need for violence. These are civilized species. They can be reasoned with." Thorne's expression grew serious. "Professor, in my experience, civilized species become remarkably uncivilized when presented with technology they don't understand. Atlas, are there any diplomatic communications from the approaching vessels?" "Negative, Captain. All vessels have powered weapons and are maintaining radio silence." The ship around them began to change as it prepared for battle. The gentle hum of awakening systems became a deeper, more ominous sound. Weapon systems that had been dormant for 50 millennia came online with terrifying efficiency. "This is your last chance to leave," Thorn told the archaeologists. "I can have Atlas transport you to safety before things get complicated." But before any of them could respond, the first attacking ships opened fire. Energy beams designed to disable. The buried vessel struck the Prometheus's shields and simply dissipated harmlessly. The ancient human ship didn't even shudder under the assault. "Hostile fire detected," Atlas announced calmly. "Activating defensive measures." What happened next redefined the archaeologists' understanding of what was possible in space combat. The Prometheus didn't just return fire, it demonstrated why humanity had once led a galactic coalition against cosmic-level threats. Weapons emerged from concealed positions along the ship's hull, technologies that made current galactic military hardware look primitive by comparison. Beams of coherent energy lanced out with surgical precision, not destroying the attacking ships, but surgically disabling their weapons and engines in seconds. Within minutes, 17 military vessels hung dead in space, completely helpless, but with their crews unharmed. It was a display of technological superiority so overwhelming that it left no doubt about humanity's former position in the galactic hierarchy. "That was a warning," Thorn announced over open channels to the disabled ships. "The next beings who attempt to claim human technology without permission will not be treated so gently." The response was immediate. Several of the ship captains began broadcasting surrender signals and requests for negotiation. The others maintained sullen silence but made no further aggressive moves. "Captain," Atlas said, "long-range sensors are detecting additional anomalies. The Devourer energy signatures are growing stronger, and they appear to be moving toward the galactic core." Thorn's expression grew grim. "After 50,000 years, they're coming back. Atlas, transmit activation codes to all Guardian ships. It's time to wake up the others." Across the galaxy, in hidden locations known only to Atlas and the other, AI Guardian's ancient human ships began to stir. 12 dreadnoughts, each commanded by a volunteer who had slept for 50 millennia, started their revival sequences. Humanity's secret protectors were awakening. "Professor Nethys," Thorn said, turning to the Kithran historian, "your people were allies once. Are they prepared to be allies again?" Yila straightened, understanding the magnitude of what was being asked. "I believe so, Captain, but you'll need to convince the Galactic Council." "Then we'd better get started," Thorn replied. "Because if the Devourers are returning in force, this galaxy is going to need every ally it can get. And this time, humanity isn't going to sacrifice itself to save everyone else." The Prometheus began to rise from its ancient resting place, dirt and rock falling away from its hull as it emerged fully for the first time in 50,000 years. Around the galaxy, 11 other ships were doing the same, each one carrying a human guardian who had given up everything to protect a galaxy that had forgotten they existed. The age of myths was ending. The age of guardians had begun again.